In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to create and save a lookup table in Adobe Photoshop. So a lookup table, or LUT as it's also known, is a method of making adjustments to your image, and then you can apply them with one click at a later date. So it's almost like a preset. So as you can see in this particular image here, I've also added a few other things. So if I go back to the beginning, you'll see that this is the original image, and I've added some smoke in there, which I'm going to walk you through how to do that as well. The main reason why I've showed you that is because I want to show you the correct way of saving a LUT. So let's go back to the beginning and I'll walk you through the process. So the first thing, if you want the same layout as what I'm using here, then come up to Window and then come down to where it says Workspace and select Photography. Some people have it on Essentials, which is the default. I like to work in the Photography workspace. So the first thing I'm going to do is come over to my adjustments panel, and you'll see here where it says single adjustments, and I'm going to hover over the LUT selection. So it says there, create a new color lookup adjustment. I'm going to click on that, and then what you'll have is where it says load 3D LUT, you'll have all these options here. So what I'm going to do is just basically build up the LUT and the look that I want, and then save it, and then add in the smoke afterwards. So let's add our first look. So I'm going to select full colors, and you can see that that's given us a bit of an orange look. So I'm going to come up to the opacity, and I'm going to bring this down to around 20%. So a good method is to use your opacity and work between 10 and 20%. That usually gives you the best results. So I'm going to come back to the adjustments. I'm going to click and add another LUT, and then I'm going to add the next color. So I'm going to add the crisp winter look there, and again I'm going to drop this down to about 20%. Then back to the adjustments, add another LUT, and this time I'm going to add foggy night, and then I'm going to drop the opacity again, and this time I'm going to drop this down to about 12%. I'm going to add another LUT. As you can see, you can stack these, and this time I'm going to add Edgy amber. Come to the opacity, and I'm going to drop that down to about 15%. And then finally I'm going to add one more, and this time I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom and select tension green, and I'm going to drop the opacity to around 20%, around that mark. So if we look there, that is basically our own color lookup from the presets that were already there within Photoshop. But what you can do is go on and create some adjustments. So let's add a curves adjustment. So let's just come in, select the curves. I'm going to select 3 points. I'm just going to make a simple S curve just to add a little bit of contrast. So there we go. And you can continue that and create and adjust any of these single adjustments that you want. So we can continue that. Let's come over to here and let's add a gradient. So let's click on the gradient there, and if we come down to the gradient, I'm just going to choose the first one. So this is going to give us a very strong black and white look, as you can see there. So let's come to the opacity, and again work in between that 10 and 20% range. So you can see what that's done. That's just added more contrast as well. So if we look at the curves adjustment and then the gradient, you can see what that's done. So let's add some fog to the image just to make it a little bit more dramatic. I'll try and put a link in the description. So I just went and found this here, so you can see this is just a fog overlay here. So I'm going to come up to the move tool, I'm going to click in the middle, drag it up to my image, don't let go, and then let go. So I'm going to come up to the corners and move this around. I'm going to spin this. I'm going to come to this box here and then turn that to 90%. So we've got a 90-degree angle, so around there. And I'm just going to line this up a little bit better so I can see what I'm doing. And yeah, something like that. I'm going to drag this across here just so it's covering. And sometimes I like to go over the actual image so we've got a little bit more room there, so I know the whole image is going to be covered. So what I'm going to do from there is just come up to the blend mode, and I'm going to select screen. And what that's going to do is get rid of all the darks, and it's going to lighten the lights. And again, we can come to the opacity and just drop that a little bit to around 80%. I'm then going to duplicate that, so I'm going to press Control Command J, and then I'm going to come to the side here where this little arrow appears, and I'm going to spin the smoke around. Again, I'm just going to try and level that off at 180 degrees, and maybe just move it up and over a little bit, and just stretch this across so it's covering the whole image. And then I'm going to press OK to that. So you can see that both are at 80%, so we don't need to change the opacity. But what we do want to do is add a little bit of depth and a little bit of contrast to this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a layer mask. Now there's a couple of ways you can do this. You can group them together and just have one, or you can do them separately. It's entirely up to you. So I'm going to do them separately. So I'm just going to click on the add new layer mask there, and I'm going to go to the brush tool. I'm going to make sure my foreground color is set to black, and I'm going to drop the flow quite low. Now we need to remember that this smoke here is the one on the left, so we need to make sure that we're covering and going over the right area. So all I want to do is just make a little adjustment to that, and I'm going to bring this now right down to about 5%, and I'm going to just get rid of some of that smoke that's covering the face. And the light source was coming from top right. We had a big softbox here, so I'm just following that direction of light there to try and mimic how natural that light would work within smoke. So I'm going to come on to the next one. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to add layer mask there, keeping on this same brush, same opacity. I'm going to come up and just start brushing in. Now it's down here. I just want to get rid of some of this because it's a bit bulky. So you'll notice that I'm on a really low opacity there, and that's your best option, is just to build it up. But when you get a difficult area like this, sometimes you do need to just push that opacity up a little bit more just so you can get through it. If you make a mistake, you can always come back, change it to white, and then you can add back in. Okay, so you've got full control. Now you can group them together if you want to, just to make life a little bit easier. It's entirely up to you. So let's bring this up back up to 100% now. Come over to the black, and let's just target some of these a little bit more down here. Just get rid of some of that bulk. Okay, so now we've added that smoke. We can see there's our two layers. So let's group them together. So I'll hold the Shift key down, press Control or Command G. That's going to group them. So you can see that's the smoke, adding the atmosphere. This here is our color lookup. So let's select all of them. So hold the Shift key down. I've clicked on the top, hold the Shift key down on the bottom one, press Control Command G. So we can call this LUT, and we can call this one smoke. So you can see there what's happening. So there is our color lookup, and there's our LUT. So what we need to do to save this is, if we try and save this now, it's all going to go terribly wrong. So what we need to do, if you've finished and you're happy with the color and you want to save this LUT, then what you need to do is turn off any other layers that are visible. So the only ones that you want visible are the ones that you created here and the background layer. That's it. So from there, what you want to do is come up to the top where it says File and come down to Export, and then you want to select Color Lookup Tables. And you can call this whatever you want. We can call this, let's call this Moody Man. And you've got the quality here. You can have high, maximum, medium. I leave mine on 70, and then I'm just going to say OK. And now it's going to ask me where I want to save that. I'm going to save it to my desktop. Click Save. So it's now done that, and it's saved my color lookup. So if I come to here and get rid of that, so I'm just going to delete that now. So all we've got is our original image, and there's our smoke. Now what I want to do is add that color lookup. So you can do this time and time again. All we're going to do is come up to the adjustments. We're going to come to the color lookup table and click on the drop down, and where it says Load 3D LUT, click on that, and you'll find it there. So that's where I save mine. So I'm going to select the Moody Man hue, select open, and Photoshop will do its thing, and there is our color lookup there. So you can see that that is our color lookup. So we can now use that as we wish. We can move this around if we want to. We can add it to the groups here if we want to. So I've added that to the smoke group. You don't need to do that, but yeah, it just keeps everything grouped up. So every time that you edit an image, you can then come back and just do the same process over and over again. So I hope you've enjoyed that. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.